Hello, I'm Liam O'Neill and welcome to today's show. For months, we've heard about extreme lockdowns in China over COVID-19. Shanghai and Beijing got the most attention, but lockdowns actually occurred in well over 100 other cities and regions. Communist Party Chairman Xi Jinping calls it zero COVID, and it's been clear for some time that the Chinese are sick of it. One COVID case can affect hundreds, if not thousands, of people's lives, putting them into severe quarantine. There's no scientific evidence that this extreme policy is good for China. Even the World Health Organization agrees on that, and that's after praising China's COVID response for most of 2020 and 2021. And there's solid evidence that the economy is suffering greatly as a result. Why? Why is China creating a self-inflicted wound? Theories abound, and no one can answer this definitively, but it's certain that political power games are behind it. And today, we've chosen a few recent speeches from communist officials that illustrate some of the main themes of that power struggle. There are many indications that top officials around the country disagree with Xi Jinping's COVID policy. The disagreement is so strong that Mr. Xi takes every opportunity he gets to defend it. Recently, on his way to Hong Kong, he paid a visit to Wuhan. That's ground zero for COVID and the site of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In a speech to locals, Mr. Xi said that his policy was absolutely right and would not be challenged. He said, China's dynamic zero COVID policy was formulated by the CCP Central Committee based on the party's nature and purpose. Even if there are some temporary impacts on the economy, we will not put people's lives and health in harm's way. Blessed with the leadership of the party, China will implement the dynamic zero COVID policy until the final victory is secured. Let's unpack that a little bit. His phrasing is quite important. By tying his zero COVID policy to the nature of the Communist Party, he is sending a warning. Challenging the policy is challenging the CCP itself. Loyalty to the party and Xi himself trumps everything. The slide in the stock market, the skyrocket unemployment, empty grocery shelves, these are secondary. The timing of the speech is also quite important. It comes just days after another official boldly basically said the otherwise. One of the 7 most powerful people in China, at least on paper, that's top economic official Li Keqiang, publicly warned of the dire state of the economy on June 27th. He urged officials to lower the unemployment rate and, quote, prevent a large-scale return to poverty. Let's look at what he was referring to. In Shanghai, retail sales plunged 48% in April, hotel and restaurant sales 69%. Tech companies have gone through unprecedented layoffs. Alibaba may have lost 20% of workers, other companies as high as 30%. Nationwide unemployment is 5.6%, while for people under 24 it's 18%, but these are published figures. Actual numbers may be higher. Meanwhile, foreign investors have fled. $18 billion in foreign-owned debt was lost in March, and in May, China stopped publishing the data altogether. 10,000 of China's wealthiest are expected to emigrate this year, and the Chinese renminbi is down by about 5%, while rural banks in at least 2 provinces have frozen cash withdrawals. Xi Jinping hasn't addressed any of this in public. Li Keqiang's economic warnings are therefore all the more brazen. He's not praising the party chairman's zero COVID policy, but rather sharing cold facts that reveal its folly. In a country where government leadership regularly disagrees, this is not significant, but not so in China. The internet has been abuzz with rumors of Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang wrestling for power. It's all the more dramatic because in just a few months, the biggest party meeting in 5 years will take place, the 20th Congress, where future leadership will be decided. Local officials from the provincial and city levels downward are at a loss. The upper leadership is divided and a political earthquake could be coming. Remember, positions in the party are all given or taken from the higher-ups. This is somewhat similar to political appointments along the lines of, say, a Democratic or Republican change in office, but in China it's much more of an upheaval. We're talking about positions like governor or senator or the mayor of a major city being swept aside if someone is on the wrong side of a political fallout. In such a situation, local officials would normally follow Beijing and Shanghai, by far the two most important cities in China. But this also is now difficult because it appears that their leadership has picked different sides with regards to zero-COVID policy. Beijing is closer to Xi Jinping, Shanghai closer to Keqiang. Let's try to unpack some communist official rhetoric to make the point. Keqiang, he's different from Keqiang, is Shanghai's top leader. He's also one of China's top 25 officials that make up the Politburo. He recently said, quote, "The CCP's COVID control decisions and guidance are absolutely correct. Socialism with Chinese characteristics has unparalleled advantages. All our accomplishments come from the firm leadership of the CCP Central Committee, led by Comrade Xi Jinping. History will remember all who guarded and contributed to this city." Well, sounds loyal enough, right? Well, maybe not. In this 1 hour long, 24,000 word report, Keqiang made no mention of future zero-COVID measures. His tone was, "It's behind us. Thanks very much, Mr. Xi. You're great. Now let's move on." Am I splitting hairs here? Well, look at his counterpart's recent message. Tai Chi is also a member of China's 25-member Politburo and oversees the city of Beijing. He put COVID-0 policy at the center of his report. This quote was widely reported. He said, "In the next 5 years, Beijing will continuously and diligently normalize COVID control and persist in the dynamic zero-COVID policy." He's looking forward to lockdowns and fighting COVID for the next 5 years under Xi Jinping's zero-COVID policies. Well, that's the last thing Shanghai residents would want to hear. 2 months of dynamic zero-COVID policy crippled their finances. In fact, people everywhere grew alarmed at the quote. Even the former editor of the CCP mouthpiece, Global Times, a staunch party loyalist by definition, said, "I can't believe Beijing will let what happened over the past 2 months last another 5 years. Beijing people can't handle it. The economy can't handle it. It will have a negative impact on the entire country." Well, after 1 million views, the statement about another 5 years was quickly scrubbed from the internet. But in terms of keeping upper party infighting out of the public eye, the damage was already done. Rumors of a brewing political earthquake are still circulating, and an official stance on Xi Jinping's darling, the zero-COVID policy, seems to be the measuring stick of loyalty. So the next time you read a headline that some region of China might be locking down again because several people have COVID, know that it's not about following the science. It's not about the well-being of the people. Know that it might just be another economic and social sacrifice for a political show of loyalty to Party Chairman Xi Jinping. Also know that you might be seeing this type of behavior all the way up until the 20th People's Congress. After that, if Xi Jinping retains his power, zero COVID might just have been achieved. Thanks for watching our new channel. I hope you like what you saw. Please leave comments below and click like and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time.